Welcome back to Fluctuating Space Station. Welcome back to the Glen short version, short lap, 16 laps, touring cars, close racing. We had a great race won by Delphi Mora, and with plenty of good racing and actually quite a tight field at the end of the race. So we're quite curious to see what happens in this race 2. That's going to be another 20 minutes of wild action is what we can predict. Let's go through the starting grid here. This is round 4, race 2, so the 8th race of the season as the season starts drawing to an end. And it's again the usual suspects on the front row. That is Delphi Mora and Joey English. Can Joey English win this race and still be in a good position to win the championship? That's the key question. Second row is again Diogo Silva and Simon Allen, but this time Diogo in thirds. Fifth is Diogo Almeida, followed by Kev Allen. Fourth row, the first of the BMWs with Darren Head and George Jesus, followed by Rob Oldham, Andrew Dalby, and Scott Davley again in 11th. We have 11 drivers here. The top 6 are Megans, followed then by 4 BMWs. We'll see how this works at the start, as the BMWs have a terrible habit of starting the race really quickly and sometimes causing a bit of carnage in the process. Let's see what happens in this race as we are now go here at the Glen, and it's a good start by Joey English. He's going to lead into turn 1 again. The question is, can he stay there? Well, a pretty civilized start compared to what we've seen in race 1. There's a bit of pushing and shoving there with the inevitable BMW up into 5th place. That was Darren Head with a great start, and the victim is Diogo Almeida. It's a bad idea to be in a Megane if you are around 5th or 6th, because you know you're going to have a bunch of BMWs around you in the first corner. The top 4 got a little bit more insulated, and someone is running wide there. That's George Jesus. George Jesus running very wide and dropping down to 10th place there at the chicane on the opening lap. But it is a pretty incident-free so far race. See 2 and 3 wide there, and very good battle there for the lead of this race. And Joe English is going to lead the opening lap. Look at Diogo Silva trying to make a move on Delphi Mora, as Delphi had a small mistake there. And there you go, first lap. It is 4 Megans, 5 Megans. What happened to Darren Head? Darren Head has had a problem here, as he definitely was in 5th spot, and something nasty happened to Darren there. He was under pressure from, well, it started again at the chicane, and definitely Darren Head does not like this chicane, or his car does not like this chicane, as he is now under pressure from Diogo Almeida. That's all fair racing so far. No, sorry, it's Diogo Almeida and Kev Allen, both drivers on the third row. Of course, will have more BMWs around them. Now Darren is still in 6th, but now he's going to run wide. Oh no, he got hit from behind by Kev Allen, and he did run wide, but that was quite an assisted version of running wide, and he ends up losing a few places up into 600. Dalby, the question is, can he maintain there? Look at this pack. Top 5 are the Megans, but then we've got a pretty good bunch of BMWs here. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. Let's find out what happened to Kev Allen, because I didn't quite get how much time he has lost from that incident, and the answer is he has lost quite a bit of time, as he hit Darren, and now he's well, it's a tight field, and he drops to 10th spot. That's what happened. Now let's go back to this absolutely brilliant battle for the lead of the BMW class, because we've got pretty much 5 BMWs there in the same piece of real estate. We are on lap 2, and Andrew Dalby currently leads that class, as Darren Head is trying to come back there, at least into look at this, look at George Jesus on Rob Oldham. The BMWs are now all entangled with one another, which is not going to help his cause, their cause, sorry, as Kev Allen also tries to go around some of them. Kev is still in 9th spot, and the race for the lead is absolutely brilliant. We should spend some time there as well, because Delphi Mora is definitely not happy with that 2nd position. We are on the 2nd lap. Look at this. Joey now defending on the inside like there's no tomorrow. Delphine was trying to go on the inside, and he does so, and he's going to go for it, and they run side by side, and Joey English maintains the lead so far. And of course we know that these two drivers up the front, they have better pace than any other driver, but they are just so entangled with one another that Simon Allen and Diogo Silva are managing to keep up, making it pretty much a group of 4, as now Joey English is under pressure again in turn 1. We'll keep an eye on the BMW battle, as Andrew Dalby has already made a mistake there. Andrew Dalby has already made a mistake. We are going to have a replay of this, but this is a carbon copy of race 1, and we'll see. Well, it seems to be a 3-wide situation there with the BMWs, which is not going to work very well in a narrow circuit like this, and it seems to me that it was again at the chicane, and it seems to me that this BMW does not like this chicane. Darren Hale was on the inside. I'm not sure if there was contact. I don't think so, but there was definitely a mistake at the exit, and oh, there was contact between Darren Hale and Andrew Dalby there. There was contact, and Andrew Dalby is now has double contact with I believe it was Rob Oldham, and Darren Hale. That's quite an eventful race so far, and look at this. Now it's Jorge Jesus on the outside of Darren Hale there, and trying to, well, Kev Allen seems like he's stuck basically in the traffic jam, and now Jorge Jesus hits the wall there and loses time. Darren Hale, amazingly, is still in 6th place despite having multiple contacts with other drivers. He's always come out ahead, so to speak, as pretty much everyone behind him is scrambling for position. Now Kev Allen is doing a great job because he's managing this traffic jam very effectively. He has not been involved in any incidents outside of that initial incident on the opening lap with Darren Hale, and now guess what, it's the 3rd lap and they are at it again. Meanwhile, the top 2 are side by side and almost contact there at the chicane, but Delphi Mora definitely seems to be the driver with more pace, and now a bit of bumping there as Joey was trying to defend. Here comes Diogo Silva on Delphi Mora. This is great stuff. This is absolutely great stuff, and the reason for this top 4 to be so tight is because the top 2 are absolutely nailing it in terms of the fight. Another lap is going to be complete here as the top 4 Megan seem to be under control of this race, although this is a very, very loose type of control, and Joe English knows he has to lead this race. He has to win this race to be in contention for the championship. The top 4 are ahead of Joe Almeida. Joe Almeida has carved a niche there. Then is lucky man Darren Head as something has happened to Kev Allen. He has lost momentum in the straight. We will get a replay of what on earth happened there, but he's dropping down the order like something very bad happened, and I suspect that something very bad happened is yes, indeed, it is the famous two-wheeler at the last corner, in this case subsequently added with a bump in the wall. So here goes Rob Oldham up into 7th place, and here comes also Jorge Jesus, a driver that if you give him a little bit of space, he's going to take it. And Kev Allen in this case tried to run side by side there, and it clearly was a bit of a losing proposition because he ends up dropping into 9th, and he has to do it all over again. He was doing a great job up into 7th place, but he couldn't hold. Those BMWs are quite annoying to deal with in this Glen circuit. They are fast. Now I think the good news for Kev is that as we are now reaching very soon the second half of this race, they potentially are going to have more tire wear. Let's go back to the race leaders, because we have the top 4 separated by a second at the end of lap 4, and this is again Delphi Mora trying to do the same trick there on the inside. Doesn't quite work because it's possible to run side by side in that corner and not lose any speed, and in fact the driver that's running outside is going to get the inside for the last corner. But look at this, Delphi Mora is always very fast in this last corner. Didn't help that Joe English had a little bump there into the wall. Now they're absolutely side by side, and Delphi Mora is probably going to go for it. Who is going to be the last of the late breakers? It's Delphi Mora that's going to take the lead, but now Joey is coming back on the inside, and he's going to retake that lead surely. They're going to run side by side there through the S's, and now into the back straight. This is absolutely brilliant stuff. Diogo Silva almost losing it there in third place, was almost spinning in that corner. Now this is where it starts to get dangerous, because look at Joe English. He's done such a great job running side by side through the S's. Diogo Silva is trying to make it 3 wide, but he probably will get out of it on the basis that there was a sure accident if he hadn't. And Joe English is amazingly back at the front of this race, lap 5 out of 16, and I cannot wait for the remaining 11 laps of this race. I think that Delphi Mora has better pace than Joey. Joey is just doing such a great job defending from Delphi, but I wonder with tire wear if it's going to become easier. And look at this, Delphi Mora surely would have gone through Joey's car if it was a ghost, as they complete another lap now here, and he's going to try the same all over again, which is the inside of turn 1. He seems to be now side by side. He's in a better position. He could squeeze Joey on the outside, and he could actually not lose any time with braking, and that's exactly what he does. He's taking the inside, and he's taking the lead of this race now. He's taking the lead of this race, and surely he's now protecting that lead from Joey and the other Air Bubbles team. Look at this, they're almost losing it through here, as Simon Owen is now coming into the picture. Simon Owen decided this is a time to attack. Diogo Silva is going defensive there on the inside. It's not that he's trying to overtake Joe English, it's that he's trying to defend from Simon Allen there, and he does so. And look at this, Diogo Silva is in trouble because he is now lost that third place. They're running side by side, their Bubbles team, and this is a sure way that they're going to lose some time. And Joe definitely does not want to lose that place. And look at that, absolutely brilliant. And look at how much time you lose just by running side by side here. The two leaders are absolutely gone, as Team Air Bubbles is not being a team anymore. They are absolutely gloves off fighting for it. And look at that, they are drifting like a rally car there, as Diogo Silva manages incredibly to keep that third position. But let's look at the leaders now. Delphi Mora is already 0.6 of a second ahead of Joe English, and seems to be that he's the strongest driver here today at the Glen. Let's see what he can do with that strength. Third is Diogo Silva, fourth is Simon Allen. Simon Allen is not happy with that fourth place. He's definitely going to fight. Fifth is Joe Almeida, having a very quiet race. And now we have Darren Head in sixth. By the way, Kev Allen has made up for the earlier mistake and is up into seventh place. The BMWs are starting to struggle a little bit, as we expected. The Pirelli sponsored yellow BMW of Jorge Jesus is now under pressure from the other BMW of Rob Oldham. 10th is Andrew Dalby, and Andrew has had again a great start to this race, followed by a period of suboptimal performance. He's done well. He's the slowest. No, he's not the slowest car on the track, because that is Rob Oldham, but 1:14.9 is not a great time. Now the driver that is really struggling here is Scott Davis. I wonder if something happened that we have not captured, so we are just going to rewind a lap here, because I remember these BMWs being slightly closer to one another. And we haven't seen too much of Scott Davley in this Touring Car Championship. This is easily his worst season, well, since I can't even remember, because he's done some really strong seasons recently. And this one has not been one of them, even within the BMW field. Has been a bit of a disappointment for the American driver, as he tries to maneuver well. There seems to be no problem whatsoever, except that his pace is not great. So we're going to fast forward this a little bit, perhaps with another driver, so we can see a bit of Andrew Dalby in fast forward. This is the fastest you'll see this BMW ever go in this championship. And look at this absolutely brilliant pace there by Andrew Dalby. Unfortunately, that is in fast forward mode. Now Jorge Jesus has been overtaken by Kev Allen, and Kev is going to also overtake. Look at how bad this BMW behaves around the chicane. We've seen multiple drivers, I mean, with a lot of talent among them. Darren Head, Rob Oldham, George Zuz, they all struggle to basically go through that chicane quickly. So that is how Kev Allen actually managed to overtake Rob Oldham on the outside there, leaving space for Rob. Nicely done there by Kev. And he is back into the 7th position. By the way, George Zuz is also going to go around Rob Oldham, who is dropping down the order quite significantly. And George thought about making a move there on Kev, but Kev clearly with a bit more pace at this point, and I believe this is tire wear related. So let's have a look at the lead of this race as we are now approaching the midpoint of the race, and the gap is under a second, but still Delphi Mora has a bit of breathing space, which is just at half a second, separating him from second place. Also Diogo Silva has got a bit of breathing space. That Megan has a half a second gap over Simon Allen. Now, a driver that's doing a good job in the background is Diogo Almeida. He is in 5th place. He's got no one around him, but he's actually keeping in touch with the group, the top 4. He is just over 3 seconds behind Simon. So it's still within range of a potential attack later on in the race, or if indeed any of the top 4 makes a mistake, he's going to be right there. 6th is Darren Head, and he has Kev Allen behind him. Well, in fact, it is behind, but Kev is 3 seconds behind. Let's see how that gap is going to evolve, because these drivers have been much closer earlier on in the race. In fact, they've been very close to one another on the opening lap. Kev Allen trying to salvage a few more points out of this race. Then is George Zuz in an unusual 8th place. This has not been a great round for George. He's most of the times this season been easily the best of the BMWs, and now he is behind Darren, and he's battling with Rob and Andrew, which we did not see that happening in previous rounds. But the BMWs are slowly but surely going back to the top bottom of the leaderboard here again, and we still have 8 laps to go. The only BMW in the top 7 is Darren Head, and he will have to contend with Kev Allen in a few laps. We'll see how that gap is going to evolve. Let's go back to the race leaders. The gap is still half a second. We are now past the midpoint of this race, by the way, as they will complete the 9th lap very shortly. And Delphi Mora is potentially going to do a double win here, which is quite important for the championship. The last round in the Sugo is still coming. We are not sure if it's going to be covered with replays or not, due to some technical and operational constraints. Nevertheless, it is a very good season with the touring cars, despite the fact that the BMWs are a bit off the pace. We still are seeing great racing in pretty much every round, and now the top 2 continue to be separated by less than 2 seconds. Diogo Silva, by the way, has opened a gap there to Simon Allen, so he's got now a bit more breathing space, and it could be a double podium for Diogo, which would be easily his best round of the season to date. 4th is Simon Allen, 5th is Diogo Almeida, as we mentioned. 6th is Darren Head. Let's look at the gap between Darren and Kev. Well, for the first time in a while, we don't see any obvious battles, wheel-to-wheel battles in these fields, which of course this week was a little bit depleted. Only 11 drivers, which is unusual for touring car racing. Darren Head is well, he's losing time, but at a very slow pace to Kev. Last lap only 4/10 of a second. So at this pace, Darren will keep his 6th position. Let's see how quickly Kev can up the pace and potentially challenged, but he's perhaps even being more challenged by Jorge Jesus than actually challenging the driver in front. That's of course Darren Heads. Now another thing that we are seeing in this race that we have not seen, that Jorge Jesus is now in the wall, and that's not a good round, and it's quite a big one. Almost there contact with Rob Oldham, who was trying to decide if he should overtake on the left or on the right, and not a great round for Jorge Jesus. He drops from 8th to 9th. But one thing we are seeing in this race that we have not seen in race 1 is that the drivers at the back, they are losing a lot of time, as we saw the top 10 in the previous race separated by less than 15 seconds, and now the man in 10th place, who is by the way Jorge Jesus, has dropped another position. Andrew Dalby is up into 9th. They're already 30 seconds behind the leaders, so the leaders are clearly going for it, and the lap times tell the story. 1:12.399, 1:12.453. This is the pace that we have not seen in race 1, because Delphi Moura was there at the front on his own, or at least under control, with his lead under control, and now his lead is not under control, and the two championship contenders are absolutely going for it. Look at the lap times, they are almost identical now at the end of lap 11. 1:12.441 for race leader, 1:12.422 for Joey, and then we've got drivers on the 1:13. That's Diogo Silva, who lost, by the way, 0.2 of a second to Simon Allen, but still the gap is around a second. It keeps going up and down throughout the lap. Joe Almeida is, he has now lost touch with the group of 4. So he is, and Darren Head has lost a place there. Darren Head has lost a place. He was 3 seconds ahead. So my intuition tells me that something has happened here. And furthermore, I wholly predict that it's going to be at the chicane. Let's see if my prediction was accurate, and yes, it was. And look at this. This is what's happening with this BMW. You go through the first, and then it's here that everything starts to go wrong. Pretty much in the second half of the chicane, he hits the wall, and there goes Kev Allen up into 6th place. So we now have that dreadful situation, which is we have 6 Megans ahead of 5 BMWs, and look at the lap times. They are not great by any of the BMWs at this point. The fastest BMW on the last lap was Andrew Dalby, 1:14.8, and I'm not sure who was the fastest BMW overall in the entire race, but I'm pretty sure that the fastest lap of a BMW is going to be much closer to the Megans, but this is not good for the BMW brand to be beaten so convincingly by Renault in this Old Fox Championship. Of course, the over 40s being and look at this, Delphi Moura has made a mistake there at the chicane, almost a BMW-like mistake, and all of a sudden the gap has gone down quite considerably, just a couple of tenths of a second. As I was saying, BMW and Renault both very focused on the over 40s market, and of course this is going to convince everyone to buy that Renault Megane instead of the Delphi Moura now loses it. He's losing it big time. He's losing it big time. He's lost the lead of this race. He's trying to scramble back into the track, but this is absolutely massive. Lap 12 out of 16. And let's have a look at the replay, because this could have championship implications. He was on his own, and he was still 0.4 of a second ahead of Joey. He's just clipped the grass there, and then he's a bit of a passenger. He manages incredibly not to spin, but he does hit the gravel, and then he just overshoots coming back into the track and goes into the grass again. Fortunately, it does not spin, and critically does not lose second place. Now what will happen, because Joey surely, he's got 4 laps to go now. Still 4 laps to go, but 3 seconds ahead of Delphi Moura. Then is Diogo Silva, then is Simon Allen, then is everyone that we know is there. No major battles here. except that George Zush is not having the greatest race. He's down in 10th, and he is being chased by Scott Davely. We'll have a check now on the lap times to see. Well, it's a 1:16 for George, a 1:14.9. So George Zush is well, his tires are probably gone, and now the BMWs are basically really in their own class. Darren Head in 7th is the top driver. We definitely need to have a look at the lap times, because this is going to be absolutely epic, because Delphi Moore does have quite a lot of pace. Unfortunately, he's lost the track position. The lap times are going to tell the story. 1:13.3 for the leader, 1:13.0 for Delphi Moore. Now this is not enough. This is absolutely not enough to challenge for the lead. We'll keep an eye on other battles, but we may decide to go these 3 laps just with the 2 leaders, because well, Delphi Moore is reducing. Well, not really reducing. It's 2.7, 2.8. But now the gloves are off, and we have 2 laps to go at the line. Pretty short lap, and in 2.5 minutes we are going to know the winner of race 2, and it could well be that these 2 are again going to score the same number of points in a round, which is incredible, as Delphi Moore won race 1 and race 2. Now Joey English has a great opportunity to take advantage of that mistake and win the race. The lap times are going to tell the story now, as they are absolutely flat out. Although the tires are not working very well, the leader does a 1:12.954. And what does Delphi Moore do? 1:13.041 with 2 laps to go. It seems to me that that's unlikely to happen, and Delphi Moore definitely has blown his chances there. Diogo Silva in 3rd place now is well, look at the lap times, 1:12.980. That's a pretty good lap time for Diogo. 4th place is Simon Allen. 5th is Diogo Almeida. 6th is Kev, and Kev actually has not checked out from Darren Head, who is now trying to well, pretty much preserve some honor for the German brand by trying to at least finish ahead of one Megane. 8th is Rob Oldham. 9th is Andrew Dalby. 10th is George Zush, who continues to lose time there to Scott Davely, but Scott's still in 11th, and a few more laps and surely the BMWs will do a lap down. Let's look at the lap times now. At the end of lap 15, it is race leader Joe English crosses the line. That's a 1:12.998, and Delphi Moore 1:13.222. He's definitely not going to go for it. This is the last lap of the race, and I think the top 3, well, Delphi Moore is, well, Diogo Silva in 3rd place is closer to him than he is to Joey English, so I think that's going to be it, unless of course Joey makes a mistake, massive mistake on the last lap. Now let's look at that battle for 6th, because I'm curious as to whether Darren can still have a bit of a challenge. He's not that far behind, but now with just 1 lap to go, he's probably a little bit too late. That number 55 is going to win race 2 here at the Glen. Short version, again we saw good racing, and we saw a bit more dominance of the Megane in this second race, so that's a bit unfortunate. The top 4 are still in the same back straight, 6.3 seconds between the top 4. That's actually quite close, but victory is going to go crucially to Joey English, and he is absolutely in contention for the title for the last round at Sugu. 2nd is Delphi Moore, 3rd is Diogo Silva, 4th is Simon Allen. These 4 have dominated the race, and something has happened. No, sorry, I was panicking there for a bit, but Diogo Almeida is going to finish definitely in 5th place. 6th is going to be Kev Allen, and the Meganes are 6 Meganes in the top 6. 7th is Darren Head, winning the BMW class of this championship. 8th is Rob Oldham. Good race there by Rob. Could do more with this car. 9th is going to be Andrew Dalby. And 10th, well, the battle for 10th is going to the line there, as Jorge Jesus is finally going to, well, at least score top 10, and he does so, and Scott Davely is going to be in 11th. Not a great round for him. That was coverage of round 4 out of 5 of this Old Folks Racing Touring Car Championship. We'll see you maybe in round 5.